But people were still not bold enough to say, I am a Nigerian chef cooking Nigerian food.
Thank you.
Because how can you be a Nigerian chef cooking Nigerian food and be popular?
Social media is so fickle,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you know, and it's all about what does it look like on you know, visually. Is it, you know, food photography? Did they take a picture of it? Does it look as if it's about to take off from the plate and what have you? And to be honest with you, the proof is, does it taste right? I can't do it in one sentence, but I'll say that in those 32 years, we have gone down almost out at least 3 or 4 times.
Wow. So we're supposed to do an icebreaker. So
Okay.
let me see. I think I know what I want to ask. Your birthday.
Oh, good Lord,
What was
yes.
the best part of your birthday? Because you were it was like a different element for you. Seeing you in that, it wasn't the CEO I was saying. You were boogieing down.
You know, that's me when I'm amongst my closest and dearest. If you notice, my birthday was very, very selected.
Yeah.
I just wanted very, very close family. And when I'm with my close family and friends, I tend to let my hair down. I think that's what you saw.
Yep. And that was fun.
You are shocked?
It was good. I would say I was shocked, but it was good to see that.
Okay.
So we can now start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're supposed to show me and do this.
Okay, so I have 2 cards here. How many cards do you have?
2 cards.
Okay, do you want to see my questions?
Yeah.
Or you like the surprise of it?
Okay, surprise. Go ahead.
I don't think there are any. You love the questions. I know you
Okay.
love the questions.
Okay.
So my first question here is, please describe your early days in cuisine.
Whew. Early days, that's a very, very broad question. My early days meaning, is it when we started as a bakery or after being in the bank for about 6 or 7 years? Let me redress a bit. I've always wanted to do food. But when I was abroad, I went to school, I did everything, I came back, and immediately I wanted to open a restaurant. In fact, I'd got the chefs, I'd done everything. And my father said no. He said, you need to go and work outside first. So I worked. So I'd always wanted to do that. So from when I now joined, Delinas was actually set up by my mother in, I think, 1990, 91.
Wow.
So when I now left the bank, I went to join her. And the first thing, and it's a lesson that I've learned since then, the first thing I did before joining her was I went to England, and I went to the north of England. I can't remember one godforsaken little town there, and I was there for about 5-6 weeks, and I learned to bake.
Wow.
And you know, I went there to learn how to bake bread, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and doing all that. And that's one thing that I've learned over time, as in those 30-something years, is that you must know what you're doing. You cannot run a business, you cannot do anything if you don't know what you do. So what invariably happens is that whenever I want to start something, I'll first of all go and learn about it. So when we say at the earlier time, that was what it was. I learned how to bake bread, and that's how we started. And then from the bread, we wanted to learn how to, you know, we had a 6-year contract with the Eco Hotel.
Amazing.
We were the only Nigerian company with the likes of Frenchies and Cactus, who were who were supplying pastries and bread to Eco Hotel, and we did it for 6 years.
Wow.
So that too required me to travel and learn how to make these things, because if you don't know how to bake these things, then you are at the mercy of your staff. So, and that has always been a philosophy for me. So at the I would say that the early times of my career was a learning period.
Yeah.
Anything after that was just sort of consolidating on that learning, but it's very, very important that you know your business, you know your craft.
Amazing.
So even cake decorating, I went into cake decorating because the guy who was doing our cake decorating one day just woke up on the 24th of December. We had all sorts of orders down. And he just got up and said, Madam, I'm tired, I'm going home on the 24th of December.
What?
Yes. And I said, Mr. Benson, where are you going? Madam, I'm tired, I'm going.
Just like that?
He just left. And while I could bake cakes, I didn't know how to know how to decorate cakes. And in those days, it was things like Christmas logs and, you know. And I just looked at the orders. I carried all of them with 2 of my staff and went to my house. I was living in Obanikoro. And we didn't sleep, and we just sort of patched this,
figuring it out.
And you know what I did? On the 4th of January, I was on a plane to Chicago, Wilton School of Decorating, and I went to learn how to decorate cakes.
Amazing.
So, you know, there's always something that propels you. You know, and I tell people when people tell me now that what is the secret, it's not a secret, it's just that always know your craft, especially in Nigeria. Because if you're not, I mean, you can run a bakery or a business abroad and just have people doing it. But here, if you don't, they will take you for a ride, and you will end up suffering. And that's what kills businesses.
Yeah, there's nothing better than as a business owner saying that you know the craft.
Yes.
And because people want to hold you to ransom and entrap you and make you feel like, don't worry. We'll leave her stranded, sabotage the business. But that's a beautiful lesson.
And even right now, you come into my business. Some days I'm in the kitchen every day.
Yes,
I will wash
see
plates.
that.
I will wash plates. I will sweep the floor. And once you do things like that, it sort of concentrates the minds of your staff.
Amazing.
You know, so they're like, "What's Madame doing in the kitchen?" But once they see that you can,
and that's
do
the
that,
leadership by example statement
they don't
as
hold
well.
you to ransom.
Yeah, because they know that, and that's the same thing with me as well. Like, I like to be hands-on, right? Yeah. My team members know that. If it's to send a mail, draft a proposal, create a document, draw. Like, you check my book, you see my drawings, and they know if something is lagging, if something is delaying,
you do it.
I'll get it done.
Yeah.
And they might say, boss, let us do it. Okay, you have a window to get it done.
Yeah.
But if it seems like you're not going to get it done within the time frame, we would find out what the issue is, but most likely you'll find that I would do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Do you want to ask me any question?
Okay, question 1. How did you start out in cuisine?
Yikes. I always like to say, a funny story. So in 2018, I did a reality TV show with Unilever. It was called Northeast Quest, and I won it. And I was going to write a book, and the first chapter was called On My Mother's Laps, because my earliest memories in cooking was actually with my mom. And it wasn't just a cooking in the house for the family thing. No, it was my family. We organized the biggest parties in our area. So, like a typical high-end Yoruba family, but it was a thing for us. The entire street would come. Christmas, Easter, New Year, it was a thing. And so, because of the way the family was structured, my mom was in charge of the catering of the. So everybody gets things to do. You handle drinks, handle logistics, get the rentals. But my mom was in charge of food, and so she would hire all the olokbos and everything. But she was there. Yeah, she was there. She was making sure that it tasted nice, making sure that they cooked it well. And for some reason, because I was very close to my mom, I found myself there. Obviously, I always say that cooking for me was in it. Yeah. It was inside. It was inside of me. It wasn't. I didn't stumble on it. It was very in it. So I found myself predisposed to being there and just enjoying that. I remember peeling stock cubes. I remember cutting edo. I think that was my best task, cutting edo for fried rice. Yes. And I would taste it. It was just so amazing. So I knew that this was a place that I wanted to be. And like I've told some people before, it wasn't like they were templates to sort of make that period make sense and say, oh, I'm going to be a chef. No. So it was just someone that was passionate. And it continued like that. I remember when I made my first eforiro, and it was a disaster. But it was me saying that I've seen how they put vegetable in this thing. I think I want to try it. So I didn't go and ask anyone. I just said, Shibi, it's just oil they put there. I put vegetable. Yeah, I was like, then I said, how does the water come? How does it get wet? I said, okay, I think they pour water inside. Then I pour like a gallon of water in the thing. I remember that very well. And I think I remember the shame till tomorrow. Because when my mom wanted to see what I had cooked, I was like, no, I've not cooked anything. So the pot of soup was there just so. I've just always enjoyed the kitchen. It was just something beautiful. Then, fast forward to secondary school, I was in technical drawing on the path to engineering.
Okay.
And I just knew I was not in the right place.
Yes.
I was first five. That's one of the things that resonates with some of the things you said. Wherever I find myself, I'm excellent in it.
Yes.
It's just a decision that I made in my heart that I will never be in a place and it will seem like I'm struggling because I didn't want to be there. So I was in technical drawing, and I knew I didn't want to be here, but it's cool. I went to King's College, and so I carried King's College in my head, and I knew that to be able to be like all the great men that have come out from that school, I have to excel in school. So I stayed in technical drawing, but I made a conscious effort, and I told my mom and my dad, they didn't want me to do this initially, but I told them, I said, I want to do food and nutrition. And so I wrote my letter. I recently came across that letter when I was opening my bags, and I saw that letter where I wrote to the vice principal that I want to change my course. I gave my reasons. I was like, okay, I wrote this. So I changed to food and nutrition, and everything changed. I remember my WAEC practical exam. The invigilator said that, the external invigilator, that she's been grading WAEC for years. She's an old lady. And she said this is the first time that she's ever eaten anything that made her happy. And I was overwhelmed with such a compliment. And there, someone said, you will be a chef. I'd never heard the word before. I'd never seen any chef before. But someone said that in that room, that you'll be a chef. And I went back to go and check, what does that mean? Checking everything. I stumbled on Food Network. And it just opened a big window, and from there on out, from working as a chef, this was 2009, then I started working as a chef. Well, not working as a chef, I started cooking professionally. I was doing dinners, I was doing parties from 2009. Then in 2013, I said, okay, I want to go and get like formal training. So then I started working for like some top businesses, Kaizen that bought the franchise for Mr. Biggs, like a bunch of the companies in 2013. And so from there, then I said, you know what, I want to do management in the food business. I want to do food business management and not just cook. So then my management journey started. And from there, I did a little bit of management training. I worked with some really amazing people. I started solving actual problems in the front end, doing business solutions. My hand was held by really great people, and I realized that, okay, I am called to solve problems in the food industry.
Absolutely.
So yes, I started as a chef to understand the basics and the foundation of food, but it was never really just to be a chef. It was to come into this space and solve major problems, because Nigeria is a baby in the hospitality space, not because we don't have history. We have history with people like you, but because we are now being recognized as a hub for culinary and hospitality excellence. So I'm happy to be here.
But you see, just to add one or two things to what you've said, anybody in our space, they must have a passion. And I think this word passion is always, I think it's overused and misunderstood. You must have an innate passion for what you do. I'm told, although I remember vaguely, that from the age of 8, I was cooking for my family.
Wow.
And not only cooking, but I was cooking on an adogon outside. And, you know, that has to be part of what you do. Do you understand? And even to today, I'm dreading, for the first time in my life, I'm dreading my Christmas day. Every year for the past maybe 15 or 20 years, I have single-handedly cooked for about 300 people every Christmas day.
Wow. Catering or just family?
Personally, family in my house.
Wow.
300 people.
I'm coming this year.
That is after. That is after I have also. That is after I've sent maybe about 50 meals.
Yeah.
Christmas meals out of Delina.
Yeah.
You know, but it is a labor of love.
Yes.
It's something you like, and like you said, as you graduate, you see that there are other things you could do in that space, right? And it is a fierce industry in Nigeria. Everybody and their grandfather is cooking. So as a result, you must find a way to differentiate yourself. So for us in Delina, we're always trying to do something different.
Yeah.
We're always looking at how we're going to do something with the things that we do, like our Oktoberfest.
And we see it like Oktoberfest, the event at Gbolabo Memorial was remarkable because 120 Nigerian dishes. Like we're talking about Imoyo, and I was telling you that I'd never seen anything like that before, and this was giving me ceviche vibes. And yes, I know that Lagos State was colonized by the Spanish,
Brazilians,
the Portuguese. Around that same sort of.
There's a lot of
so you might say that there's a bit of influence from that, but even if this is something that existed for a long time, and to see that we have such a dish that has been kept with fish, peppers, and when you say they eat it with cold eba, I mean with hot eba.
No, it's cold.
The cold dish eaten with hot eba. I remember, and I'm like, we have so much history. We have a science to our cuisine. We need to talk about it more. So that Oktoberfest for me was, I was just a child learning.
But the origin of Oktoberfest was the trauma of COVID. We came out of COVID, and everybody was traumatized, and we were like, the money had dried up, business had gone. So we now said, okay, what are we going to do? And we had a meeting with my staff, and somebody says, what unites Nigerians? And we said, football. I can't do anything about football. What else? So we said food. So that was the origin of it, where we now said, okay, why don't we just cook food from all over? Look at us in the office. There are people, they're Hausas, they're Igbos, they're Yorubas, they're in the office. What do you do? What's your food in your own town? What's your food? And we just cobbled something together. I think 30 meals that time. Called friends and family and said, come and eat. And it was so good that every year to this last one, which was our 4th year, and this year we did 125 meals from all over the country. For me, that's something interesting, because in that 4-year journey, I now learned something very interesting, that our food culture in Nigeria is so rich, it's so diverse, and if you, every day of the year, if you ate a different meal every day, you will not exhaust the meals that Nigeria has.
Very correct.
So why are we running around England and whatever looking for? We have the food here, and we have lovely food. Not only that, it's organic. It's fresh. It doesn't have preservatives.
You're very correct. There's this thing that is trending now, farm to table. And I was telling someone, I was like, what exactly is farm to table? Farm to table basically is you're getting your crafting or curating a menu from items that you grow yourself that are in close proximity to a farm. And if you look at the history of our food, we've been doing farm to table for years. Because I remember when I was younger, we didn't have a plantation in the compound, but we had some greens that we plucked from the back and used in cooking. And I know that there were even families that had gardens of yams, tomatoes and things, and that's what they ate in their house. So we've been doing that, but simply because, once again, Nigeria is not attributed to some of these concepts. It now seems like we're novel to it, where it's for developed countries, it actually upsets me.
Yeah, no, it should do. I have an aunt. We're burying her next week, unfortunately, and from Ife, she passed about 3-4 weeks ago. But I used to go and sit with her. She's the repository of all the family history, and I'd sit outside in the evening. She said, "Show my down," and I'm like, "Yes." And the next thing, there's a chicken running around, and she'll say, "Oh yeah, carry that one." And the next thing, they've wrung the neck, and they're doing it, and she's.
You don't have to run to the supermarket to go and get
wall,
a bird.
On the wall at the back is something. There's an effort they call anumututu. It grows on this thing. She'll pluck it. Then she has this mortar that they use to do the pepper and what have you, and egusi. And in the space of 30 minutes, the food is out. And you think yourself, there's no preservative, there's nothing. And it is so, they don't know how, they don't use Maggi.
Nope.
She doesn't use Maggi to cook. Onions and salt. That's all they use, you know. And that's why they live long. If you go outside Lagos, people live long.
Yeah.
You don't see obese people. You don't. You know, everybody lives, you know, very, very healthily. But in Lagos, it's you know, something else. It's interesting. We can talk about it.
I did a dinner one time, and this is, you mentioned Oktoberfest. I just thought to add that as well. I did a dinner one time. I called it Asha, an ode to Nigerian cuisine.
I heard about that recently. Did you just repost something on it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
And I did I think it was 7 courses across the geographical zones of Nigeria. And I was proud. I was proud because we created that, but I was also proud at the reception. Like, you know, we don't play with our food, but seeing the way people could embrace it. So we were not trying to change anything. We're basically saying, like, I've always championed that, trying to educate people that we have staples. Staples is what everyone is used to. It's a beautiful thing. That's what introduces the meal to the world. However, we have ingredients, and ingredients is actually the focus, because that is how you can, and I'm not even trying to talk about globalization now. I'm even saying within ourselves, because in Nigeria today, certain ingredients have been able to transcend regions, but there are still some things that some cultural areas will say, oh, I can't use that person's, I can't use, so, but ugu, for example, is something that Yorubas use ugu in a lot of their soups. But ugu can be attributed a lot to the Eastern people. Yeah. But even Hausas use ugu for things too now, because they've been able to sort of remove the prejudice on ugu and just see ugu as a leafy grain that has this health benefit that is used for this. Ugu, like tete, for example. Is it tete?
Green tete.
Water leaf.
No, water leaf is different from tete.
What's water leaf called? Bure. That has like more moisture. So if you use water leaf in cooking, it would get out its moisture, make the soup very watery and stuff. But ugu doesn't do that. So as someone that works with some of these ingredients, you'll be able to tell that difference and say, oh, this is what I'm going for in my dish. And I need ugu to be able to give this texture. I need it for this crunch. And so you're not saying, oh, I need this Igbo leaf or this Eastern leaf or this. And that's what we're trying to say. Our ingredients can do so much.
Yeah, and they transcend everywhere.
And so we did that, and everyone was very, very like receptive. And Asha was born, and I said, you know what? I think this is what we need to start educating people on. That we have Nigerian ingredients, and that is what would form the foundation for the educating of the Nigerian culinary industry. So if you want to say Asian cuisine, Indian cuisine, American cuisine, if you want to say Nigerian cuisine, we'll say because these ingredients are now transporting. Like, you know, like I was saying, you can have pepper soup in Paris as the first course. Like, why not? Why not? Is it my turn to ask or your turn?
It's your turn.
Is it my turn? We're having such a fun conversation.
I hope we're
doing very well.
Okay. I think we're sort of going out of script.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, in a world where culinary trends are constantly changing, how do you maintain the authenticity of your dishes while staying relevant to younger, trend-driven diners?
Ooh. Now, this is a funny one. Because I'm, I don't want to offend, but what I mean is I am very much a traditional person. And when I see eforiro is a certain type. But I also recognize, which is, I have a little bit, it's not a problem, but I have a difficulty in trying to marry these two things. And number one, I am a traditionalist. I want to know how things are done originally. I am more interested in doing things authentically, right? But then I also recognize that a lot of the younger chefs today are sort of breaking boundaries. They're taking those things and making them into something completely different. Now, for me, and maybe it's a generational thing, I love them. I think it's good, but I'm not sure whether they're still Nigerian. Do you understand? And that's I'm admitting that it's not so much that it's wrong. There's a space for everything, but I think for me, I think we haven't even scratched the surface on what is authentic.
Yes.
And then we're already going out of it. So if you're telling somebody that, oh, this is eforiro in a different way, when that person doesn't know what eforiro is. Because eforiro, funnily enough, even in the Yoruba context, is different from what do you call it? The Jebu eforiro is different from the Ibadan eforiro. You know, some of them are wet, some of them are dry. So we haven't even educated people enough on those, and then we've gone out of it. So that's where I have a little bit of dilemma. I think the word is dilemma. To see that I am more for, the traditional, because I think, and we've lost it. A lot of our people have traveled out, they've all jackpot or whatever they're doing, and we've lost it. The Chinese know what their basic food is. The Thai know what their basic food, the Indians know what their basic food is. Even the Americans know what their basic. Now, once you've got that, it's from there that you now move on to, doing the fusions, and the fusions are interesting because for me, I have FT,
of course,
my nephew in
Canada,
and he does the most incredible things, because you look at it. You can use ugu to, you can move iru to. What he uses iru to do is mind-boggling, because iru is only for effort. It smells, it's horrible. But somebody said to me the other day, "There's iru ice cream." I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what
it tore social media.
I can't even imagine what iru ice cream. So it is exciting from that point of view, and I love seeing it. But for me, it's a dilemma, and it may be a generational thing, because I think we still have a lot to do in educating people about what our cuisine is. We don't know. We've unfortunately also gotten westernized. That everybody knows. We all know about hot dogs and things, and we don't know what our food is, and it's a pity. So for me, I'm on a mission to teach, which is why something like October 1st is so dear to me. I personally have in the company, when we do October 1st, I do all the northern food. I do all the sort of middle belt food, and I do some of the Yoruba food, whereas all my staff do the Igbos and what that meant was I had to go and look for people who could cook this food, and they taught me. So all the mian taushes, the mian kukas, I can cook it.
Amazing.
And the wonderful thing was one year, I think it was edition 3, where an Hausa woman came and she said, "This was cooked by a Hausa person," and I said, "No, it was cooked by me." That was the greatest, compliment that one can. So I don't know. I think there's a space for both.
There's so much
room for both.
Yes.
But I think we need to work.
There's
on
so
the
much
other
insight in what you've just said, and if I can even speak to it, I'll say this. So, and the question sort of tied it to trends. So now, a lot of what is popular today is because of social media.
Yeah.
And social media has its rules, right? It's sometimes, even me myself, I don't even know how to tap into that space. And people think that things have to be catchy. It has to look packaged. It has to look way to suit a certain demographic. That this is what social media is demanding.
Yeah.
And so they must feed into that demand. If not, they will go out of relevance. And so a lot of the chefs today, also because of their training, and if you sort of break down the issue, you'd see that the training, the foundation for some of these people was what? Western education. So you hear things like, I'm classically trained, I am French trained. Exactly. So these trainings, these lessons, if we break it down, we realize that if we go to the history of culinary school, for example, it was someone that that felt that they needed to teach something, right? So I always say, who taught the first culinary instructor, right?
That taught you.
Exactly. So people need to realize that these culinary institutions, the job is to teach basics, standards. Now,
Methods.
how you apply the technique and standards, it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's up to you. Nigerian cuisine, for example, has a science to it, and it also has techniques to it. So, for example, let's say braising. In culinary school, you learn braising, and now we braise tozo because you cook it for a long time, or when you're making dambunama and you have to braise the meat for a long time before you pull it.
Yes.
So these are techniques that have existed before, but because we had to go to culinary school to hear that word braising, we didn't think that we were braising in Nigeria. So that's where the problem actually started from. So good. So now that came into the space and everyone jumped on. We have to do things the Western way. We have to do things the foreign way to be able to be accepted. That's the only way to be popular. Now, then our dishes now started catching on and becoming popular. But people were still not bold enough to say, I am a Nigerian chef cooking Nigerian food. Because how can you be a Nigerian chef cooking Nigerian food and be popular? It doesn't go well. You have to be able to cook filet mignon. You have to be able to cook difficult Western dishes to be a world-renowned Iron Chef. So some people, and once again, I'm not generalizing, some people now felt that, okay, I think the only way we can do this is to now fuse it. Take some of our local things and elevate it and make it seem trendy and popular. And that's how Afrofusion came to play. Now, today, we have some people that are focusing on Afrofusion authentically and doing great work, aka like FT, right? We have Chef Amaka, we have Chef Giggles. These are people that are taking that concept of Afrofusion and doing it very well. However, I still say that it is important that we separate it.
Yeah.
Afrofusion is not the entirety of our Nigerian culinary space.
Absolutely.
The first thing that we must do is our Nigerian food.
Oh, speak it.
We must. And there's no debate on this. Because when we sort out our Nigerian food, then we can now open it up to anything. It's like saying that you want to do assume pasta. So to the Italians, that's fusion, right? So they're fusing the pasta techniques with Nigeria. And yes, the last winner of the Italy Master Chef did something like that. I think she did assume gnocchi or something, but she did something fusion like that. And the consular was telling us at a meeting that if you know Italians, they don't play with their food. But when they tasted that thing, they were so amazed. They loved it. And she won. Like it was a huge milestone.
Girl?
Yes, Tracy.
Okay.
But she lives in Italy. And she won. And so that for you shows that the Italians, because they've embraced their food for a long time. They're willing to be adventurous. Yeah. So, but it's dangerous for them to start with assume pasta before they do their before they know what assume is. Exactly, before they do their own pastas and things. And that's the same thing with us. We must promote Nigerian food first.
I'm so happy to hear this because this is what I'm all about, and that's why I say I have a dilemma with the new. And then you said something. It is a trend. It is a fad. How long is it going to last? You know, the thing about trends is that it's trending now. It's all social media. Social media is so fickle. You know, and it's all about what does it look like on you know, visually. Is it, you know, food photography? Did they take a picture of it? Does it look as if it's about to take off from the plate and what have you? And to be honest with you, the proof is, does it taste right? Do you understand? A lot of them, I'm sorry, don't taste right. They look well. Do you understand? So the question is it because the people that are ordering or buying it they're not discerning, you know? I think, you know, so people of my generation were discerning. We know good food.
Absolutely.
You know, if food is not good,
and they'll tell it if it's not good.
And they'll tell you. But now, even, you know, with my children, I say to them, that's horrible. They'll be like, oh, Mom, is that? I'm like, it's horrible. You know, it doesn't taste right. But because it's what everybody's eating is what, oh, have you seen the new, this is, everybody's ordering from it. And then they're paying stupid money, to add insult to injury. They're paying stupid money for these things. But again, it is what it is right now.
I'm glad you like my for
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, it's nice, isn't it? That one was there 4 wars.
Yeah.
They're still voting.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they're still voting.
Amazing.
No, you know, again, we're talking about FOU.
Do you know one thing that I was glad about 2024 was when I started seeing restaurants open up, fancy restaurants open up, casual dining restaurants opening up, and what they're selling is Nigerian food. Yeah. It's not a thing, because you have to add something. You have to add some foreign things to it to be recognized. But today we have places like Orile in Lekki, for example, or Eden in VI. And there's another one.
I've heard about that in Eden. I want to go there.
I had fisherman soup there, and yes, obviously my chef man is saying he's trying to do something with it and trying to do like a starter thing with it. But it's because I had it there and I was blown away by the flavors that I got, and that's why I'm able to say, okay, I want to transform it to something else. It's just amazing.
I've heard about Eden. I haven't been there. I've heard about Eden, and you know, I said to somebody that we're going to go there in the next 1 week to see. There are restaurants, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy that people are, you know,
and they are bold.
But you know, the Lebanese too they've started learning about the Lebanese restaurants are now putting Nigerian meals on there.
Because you're in Nigeria. You're in Nigeria.
You know, they started learning to bring Nigerian meals into their restaurants as well. Chef Gibbs, your focus on presenting Nigerian cuisine with a global touch is inspiring. What do you think is the most misunderstood aspect of Nigerian food, and how do you challenge those misconceptions?
I love that question. Do you want to read it again?
Okay. Your focus on presenting Nigerian cuisine with a global touch is inspiring. What do you think is the most misunderstood aspect of Nigerian food, and how do you challenge those misconceptions?
Amazing. First of all, let me correct. Like I said earlier, I'm not, because a lot of people hear me say things like, so I have this saying that I put out online where I say that Nigeria will be a global food destination. And someone misunderstood it one time by thinking that I was trying to get validation from the foreign communities. That's not what I'm trying to do, right? I'm saying that Nigeria, here, we in this country, people would come here for our food.
Yes.
And wherever they
eat. Like you go to Thailand for their food.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. So, and that's why I said I appreciate restaurants like the ones that I mentioned, because when people come into Nigeria and they say they want to eat Nigerian food, even Terra Culture, they say really good Nigerian food. When people come into Nigeria and say they want to eat Nigerian food, where do they go to? That's what I'm trying to promote. So, in terms of misconceptions, we have a lot of educating to do, because there's a lot of misinformation flying all over the place. Like when the TikTok trend on egusi and fufu happened, and all of a sudden, right till today, a lot of people call all our swallows fufu.
Yeah, good.
fufu, fufu, fufu. And so there's a lot of educating that needs to happen. We have so much work to do, really. And so those are just some of the misconceptions for me, really, because people think that our meals lack flavor. People think that so we have the flavor profiles, salty, sweet, umami, and things like that. And so because we didn't attribute any of those classifications to our meals, and even a lot of classification, it just seemed like our meals were not being able to be culinary classified.
But by who?
You see, that's another.
The question is by who? I mean, I said something at the seminar the other day that I have yet to see a restaurant abroad, a Nigerian restaurant that excites me. You understand? Because I don't think they got it. But you can go to a booker here and eat food and have those tastes.
Yeah.
I think so. When they say it's tasteless, it's who is saying it. Do you understand? Who is the person that's saying it?
And that's why we're doing the summit, for example, the Nigerian Food Summit. It's positioned to educate. And I was telling the team that, guys, that topic standardization is something that starts somewhere. Now, and I mentioned it again, like, we have so many stars, but we need to come together as a community, as a group, as a body, as an industry to educate. Because if you don't teach, whatever flies, flies.
Yeah, which is
and
why
you
they're
can't
doing
correct it.
egusi with curry. In my office, curry is banned. Curry and thyme is banned in my kitchen.
Because it's abused.
You won't see it.
Like curry for a long time was used for color by so many people. Like if you wanted your jollof rice to be very
to boil meat, you put curry.
Like
to make jollof rice, you put curry.
Abused.
To everything you put curry.
Like there was even a time where fried rice was yellow.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that was what it was meant to be. And it was the curry effect. Yellow fried rice. And that's not our fried rice. But that happened.
That's the wholesale fried rice. You know, if you're going to do wholesale,
that's what I was about to say now.
It has to have yellow. They won't buy it.
The people that created that trend, they were trying to save cost of production by just easily achieving that color with curry, and so everyone just most people just latched onto it and just started making it that way. So there's a lot of educating that needs to happen. For example, the use of stock cubes. It's marketing for the guys that create it. Yeah. So all the things that they've said with regards to instant flavors and things like that, it's marketing, and it's not their fault. They must sell. Yeah. So it's still educating on our part, and it falls on us. Right? No one is going to wake up and solve our problems for us. Yeah, we have to be the ones to come out and educate, whether it's projects like this that would give us the opportunity to sit and speak about our industry, or the government organizing symposiums and getting professional food practitioners to speak, or platforms like the Nigerian Food Summit and many projects that exist like that. We need more platforms to be able to educate.
Absolutely.
And yes, social media, we need to be out there more and putting out this information. If not, social media
social media is a double-edged sword.
Everything will become fufu.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword.
Amazing. Culinary creativity is often tied to a personal connection with food. Can you share a dish or a moment in your career that redefined your understanding of food and its power to connect people?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful question.
For me, food has always been something that I'm the consummate, hostess. I always like to do food. But because of what I do, I'm constantly creating things because I'm always looking for a way to do something different. In fact, I'm under a lot of pressure right now. We go to a lot of fairs over a year, Fashion Souk, GTB Food Fair. We do all these fairs. We love doing them. And it's always an opportunity for me to be creative and come up with something new. For the first time, we've got Fashion Souk in about a week. Wow. And my staff are like, Madam, what are we showcasing this year? And I've got a brain fog, What are the things that I've done? A lot of it have been out of necessity. out of, let's just do something different. I can't immediately think of one, but I'm constantly, okay, COVID trauma. What are we going to do? Bread. I mean, we're doing bread. I just woke up one day and said, what can we do to bread? Do you understand? Can we, people like akara bread, they're always liking to eat, they like bread with akara, they put akara inside bread, they put ewago inside bread. So I now called my baker, I said, sit down. Can we put the akara inside the bread before we baked it?
Amazing.
He said, Madam, how? I said, okay, let's look at it this way. Fry the akara for me, bring it. And then we made the dough of the bread, laid it out, put the akara inside,
and rolled it
and put it in the tin. And we baked it. And then we put the pepper. There's pepper, with akara sauce, you put pepper. And we brought it out, it was perfect. Next day, can we do it with the ewagoin? So we now put the ewagoin inside the bread. Turn it around. So when it comes, look at him. When it comes out of the oven and you do like this, there's the ewagoin is there.
Amazing.
And then we did it with asun. So again, a lot of things that I create, I do it out of necessity or just boredom sometimes. I'm like, oh, what can we? Last year for one of our fairs, I created 7 new rice dishes, 7. And we just blew everybody away at the fair when they came in, and there were different types of rice. So I love it because it's, I love to see people eat my food or see something and go, wow. So that's what motivates to do that. So I do that quite a bit.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. Well done.
Please, I'm getting tired. I think I'm getting tired, which is why a week before the fashion show, I can't think of, what it is that we're going to. I'll probably think about it the night before.
Okay, I think you should ask me a question and I'll ask you a last one.
Nigerian food has always been rich in flavor and history. But in your opinion, what are some untapped opportunities or ingredients in our local cuisine that you believe could take it to new heights?
Okay, that could be a concluding statement for me.
It's an interesting question.
I love Nigeria, and I know that we're heading somewhere. Our industry is opening up to opportunities that didn't exist 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago. And to see the way people are embracing our space today is very, very inspiring. And so I would like to tell everyone to please continue. Today we have food photographers, we have food videographers, we have food stylists, we have food writers. These are career paths that if you told your parents 10 years ago that you wanted to embark on, they would look at you. They call it family meeting. Exactly. But today it's bringing in revenue, income, and parents are happy, families are happy. You're able to pay your rent, sustain your life with the career choices in the food industry. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there. And so I would tell everyone, let's continue to push.
Need to look at the business in a serious way.
Yeah.
Look at the industry in a serious way.
Yeah.
So those are the untapped.
Become very official with everything that you do.
Yeah.
It's not a joke anymore. It's not just a hobby like they used to call it. It's real life now.
Yeah.
And everyone is hoping to see where we get to. So yeah.
I think to be honest, this is the time for everything Nigerian in a really funny way. It's the time when the country is at its lowest, but in terms of outside the country, where we're being showcased, be it arts, be it movies, food, and so it is our time.
And it needs to come from us because nobody can tell our story more than us living the story.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a last question here for you. What advice would you give to young chefs or food practitioners today who aspire to run successful restaurants like Delinas, especially when it comes to overcoming challenges in the industry? Delinas is over 30 years. The business started before I was born, even if it's a year.
Okay.
But you've sustained a successful business. You've lasted economies. You've weathered storms. you weathered COVID and you're standing strong. That is a masterclass on its own. So if you were to, I don't know, in one sentence or in a short summary, how?
I can't do it in one sentence, but I'll say that in those 32 years, we have gone down almost out at least 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
Okay, so when I tell people, it's not that you won't fall, you will fall. It's how you stand up again, and and that is what has happened in that 32 years. I've closed my business twice.
Wow.
Actually closed it.
Wow.
And then rebuild and bring up. The difference between, and what I hope things like this will teach the younger chefs, is that there is the need to build. A lot of people that I see just sort of wake up one day because I can plate something, I become a chef and this. But there's a lot of dues that need to be paid, do you understand, to get to where, and that sustainability is what is frightening me, in the sense that even when I engage some young ones, and even the basic business metrics of being in the food industry, they don't know it. I've learned it over the years. I'm still learning it. We had to literally deconstruct my business after COVID and rebuild it. Everything we knew before COVID, we had to strip and start again. So, and those are the things that you need to know to be able to succeed. I'm not saying that I'm good at what I do. We have. I thank God every day that we're still there. And I thank God also because we have a core number of staff. Our oldest staff has been with me for 25 years. Got 25 years, 18 years, 17 years. And, they weigh more, the few of them weigh more than everybody put together, because the work ethic is different than all these new ones. They come in and they're like waiting to. So my advice would be, know your craft, learn your craft. Know as much as you can about it, find out as much as you can about it, and you build on that, rather than just thinking, oh, I've arrived. And that's the issue. You haven't arrived. And what will keep you there is sheer grit, because if you fall the first time and you don't know how to stand up, that's it. But you must have something that that you can fall back on to give you that strength to, because our business is one of the toughest in the world, but it's also one of the most rewarding.
Yeah.
So
amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was beautiful.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just sat at the feet of a master.
Oh, good Lord.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you.
And
so much.
like even you, from the moment I met you, we have this rapport, and I like it. And I hope long may it continue. Amen. Because we're, despite the generational gap, we're the same. Have you noticed that?
How?
We're both unapologetically Nigerian. Simple.
Lovely. Simple. Yes, we are.
Simple.
Goma.
Thank you. So are we good?
Yes, thank you.
Did we talk too much? It looks as if we talked too much.
No.
Yeah?
So I have one question for both of you.
Oh, good Lord. What is it?
So if you could describe your career with a song or a movie or anything at all, what would that be and why?
I Did It My Way.
Ah, lovely.
That's the name of the song. Why? Because you did it your
By
way.
Frank Sinatra.
Because the funny thing is that it was something that somebody asked me after my birthday. I was 60 2 weeks ago. That's the birthday he was talking about. And it was, somebody asked me and said, what would be the song for your life? And I said, the song for my life is I Did It My Way.
I love it.
That's a beautiful.
And I Did It My Way means that despite, even though you come across a lot of obstacles, you knew what you were doing, and this is, so I Did It My Way. It's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I feel like singing my own.
Please feel free. I don't know how to sing, which is why I didn't sing.
So because I do a little bit of singing, that's why I'm saying I feel like singing.
I heard
But
you sing the other day. You know how to sing.
oh,
I know you sing.
So apart from being in the hospitality space, so I also do
He
theatre.
sings. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm a professional theatre practitioner. I'm a thespian, so I do a lot of stage productions. I think my own song is I was here, I lived, I loved everything that I wanted. It was more than I thought it would be. I'm gonna live my life so everyone can know that I was here. So yes, by Beyonce, I was here.
That is serious. That's serious. That is wonderful. I wish I could sing.
Thank you very, very much.
Wow.